everybody, and welcome to another episode of Breakthrough with me, your host, Tess Timmons. What's happening, you guys? I hope all is well. Happy holidays. What? Oh my gosh. Ho, ho, ho. Who you calling a ho? Hey, it is Black Friday shopping. You guys, what's up? Hey, if you're thinking of something that you want to give as a gift, or maybe it's just for you, I'm talking about podcast equipment. What should we buy? What should we do? Come on, y'all. More of us. I want to hear from all your voices. So if you are interested in creating your own podcast, or maybe you know someone who's creating a podcast, this episode is for you because we're going to talk about podcast equipment and, dude, how cheap it has gotten. I've been purchasing podcast equipment for at least the past 5 years, 7 years, because of the different schools that I've worked at. And then my brother, he started a podcast way back in 2012 or something like that. So he was always buying equipment back then as well. So I've been able to compare with him as well. Shout out Nate. And I've got my bag of tricks. What? I've got this huge Christmas bag. Shout out Kelly for all of us to dig into. What prizes are in here? What is in store? What should we be shopping for? Okay, so one of the first things that I will talk about, and I'll just bring it on over here. This is my ring light. This ring light, I bought this thing I think the year of COVID, because I was driving down to Death Valley and I put on a dress and I wanted to film myself in Death Valley, but the Wi-Fi doesn't work and I was going to try to find a way to operate it and plug it in my car, but whatever. So I've had this ring for a very long time. They are super cheap, like $16 or something. So this is like another picture of it. You can see the ring light. You can also put your phone here or put your phone here. Or if you're really into it, I guess you could double film. I don't waste my time with all that. But that is what the ring light looks like. I got it from Element Lights, essential lighting for social media, clip ring light, element.com. So I'll put all of these links in there for you. But these are super cheap, just like $12, $15 for lights. You might want one of these if you are doing a lot of Zooms or anything to that nature. So yeah, that is the first thing that you should get. I don't know, maybe you just want one to touch up your makeup and feel good. Okay, so next thing on our list, let's see what else is in this bag. If you are majorly official, or you want to look really official, so we've got Knox gear, desktop boom arm microphone stand. Well, straight up, I bought all of this. Well, not the light, but everything else I'm going to show you, except for the mini mics, okay? This and all the other equipment I'll show you in a row, I got as a bundle for $167. And that was, I used to work in retail, so I always buy during a sale, right? That was, I think, Memorial weekend. So it was all on Amazon. So this one, the boom mic, you can set this one up and you can clip it to like a desk, or you can clip it, I don't know, wherever your setup is, right? And then your mic can drop. So it actually, this part clips to your desk and you can bolt it, and then your mic can set up off of this part as well. So those are pretty effective if you have one office where you're filming, and so it can always be standing there. I decided that I didn't want that all the time because I don't have an office that I'm going to do my podcast. I'm actually filming my podcast here where I live. But if I do get a studio, then I already have that equipment ready to go. So that one works really well. Okay, so next on our list, boom, boom, boom. Here is the next part. I wanted to try out some different forms of buffers for my microphone. So this one is professional pop filter, and I thought I had the price on there. But again, all of these were $167, all of it together. And I'll tell you the difference in that in a minute here. So microphone pop filter. And again, all of these were on Amazon. And here's that piece right here. So what I could do is attach it again to a desk or to another object. And then it goes right in front of the microphone. And then you talk into it, right? So you could see if you want this to be part of your equipment. If you are recording like singing, I think that this is more important if you're recording for singing. I'm recording my voice, and my voice is naturally loud because I'm used to teaching teenagers. So I speak up, so I don't mind having to speak loud. But anyway, that is another option for you. I tried it, but I feel like I don't really need it. Okay, and then the next one, drum roll please. Okay, is this one is Knox gear, and it is also a part of the equipment that hangs off of that hooked up part. See it? I'm going to show you the actual one. See it there? Okay, so then I would take this part and bolt it to my desk or wall, what have you, and then this would hang off of it, and then your microphone hangs off of that, right? So again, these are things that I bought a little bit for in the future, but I don't know. I think equipment is fun, but I don't think that you have to have all of it. I think that's the biggest lesson, is that it's fun and it's cool, and it's cool to try it all out. But I'll show you how little you actually have to use. Okay, and then the next one that was included in all of that $167 is my baby. Okay, also none of this is sponsored. This is me buying with my teacher paycheck my podcast equipment. Okay, so this is Yeti mics. I've been using Yeti mics for over 5 years because I would buy them at the schools that I worked at. We would buy them through the libraries. Shout out Gooding and Stefani for always buying podcast equipment for my classes. But not only for my classes, we affected all classes because we left that equipment in the library so that Spanish teachers, if they wanted to use it for their students to make podcasts, history teachers, you know what I mean? So we're affecting all. Okay, back then, 5 years ago, the price of this microphone was $450 for just one. Shout out Annie Stefani at North Tahoe because she bought my students two of these mics in a blink of an eye. You know what kind of funding that was? It was funding in a district that runs through property taxes where they have people who live there that pay a lot of money because they can afford really nice homes, right? That's not always fair and equal all around the United States. Other countries, I know, political statement, other countries in the world make sure that all their schools get equal funding no matter where they live so that you don't have the poverty cycle still happening. If one school district is based in an area where a lot of parents are poor and the property is low, well then they can't do that, so their funding is low. And then another group who can afford really nice homes and they have property taxes that are high, they're feeding that into their schools. Disparaging. Let's catch on, people. So that's why other countries make sure it's a flat rate for everyone, right? And that doesn't mean we go down. That means we go up to the highest pay of any school and raise up. Okay, so these Yeti mics used to be $450. This microphone was included in the $167 I paid back in like May of 2024. What? It's super cheap now. Okay, so the microphone, one thing that I really like, when I had my students using them, my voice might get kind of loud, so I'll try to calm down. But when my students were using these, the one issue I had is that they didn't plug into Chromebooks very well. However, now I have a little computer and it plugs into my computer just fine. And mine is like an Intel Chrome, actually. So this microphone, Blue Yeti, it comes like this. But then I bought this piece to put over it. So I don't actually use like all of this. For me, it's just a lot of stuff, and it's fun. Stuff is fun. But I have found that simplicity for me is nice. So there's different settings within that you can choose from here, and then volume here, and then the light is showing when it's recording, and then the stand comes with it. So it's very sturdy, which I totally love. So then all I did was I played with these back settings to figure out with my loud voice which one would work best, okay? And then when you're recording a podcast episode with someone else, you want to make sure that like my microphone was super close when I first started to film with my last podcast interview, and it was giving feedback and I couldn't figure out what it was. So then I moved my microphone away so it wasn't getting that feedback from the recording software that I'm using, which I will also talk to you about in a minute here. Okay, so all of that equipment back in May of 2024 was $167. Jackpot, baby! When we're thinking that this alone used to cost $450. So if there were a time to buy podcast equipment and become a podcaster, it is now. Join us, right? And then if you're buying this as a gift for someone this holiday season, and also a gift to yourself to share your voice with the world, then you definitely, like, the time to shop is now. Okay, Black Friday sales have already started. It's November 17th, date of recording. Okay, so that was all of that equipment. Then, where's the box for this? Ooh, hold up. So then I purchased a travel microphone set. It was in the bag. It was in the bag. It's so big. I couldn't see it in the bottom. Okay, so then I bought this travel microphone set because I was going to Costa Rica and I want to be able to film on location because I have a lot of travel journeys coming up because travel is my life, baby. So this is the travel microphone set. And this was, I don't want to guess on the price. I'll look in my receipts and I'll find out. Again, I purchased it off of Amazon because it was just ships easy to my house. This is not sponsored. None of this is sponsored. I just want to help you create your own podcast because I'm helping you break through to your voice so that others can hear you this holiday season, or maybe that person that you know that desires to do this, because I want everyone to have a seat at the table, every voice to be heard, right? So this is the podcast equipment, microphones if you're traveling. Shout out Karen Britt Chick. Oh my gosh. I watch her Instagram and I watch her YouTubes, and she is a beautiful fashion designer. She goes to Milan Fashion Week, Paris Fashion Week, all of that kind of stuff, and she interviews different people. She has a fancier microphone than me. It costs more money, but I looked at the cheaper ones and I thought, well, eventually I'm going to upgrade. So I got something in the middle. But I was noticing how Karen would have them clipped or just hold them and talk to people as she traveled, and that inspired me to buy these. That's the whole point of that one. It comes in this cute little case and it's got this little string, right? And then you open it. I love gray and yellow. Love gray and yellow. Almost as cool as black and yellow, black and yellow. Okay, so then all of the cords are in here and it comes in the cases. You'll notice some of them I have not used yet. And then it also has the sound buffers as well. And then the actual case is right here and it's rechargeable. So the cords are in there, so you just charge them up. And then here are the mics. So I could have one and I could be interviewing two people. So I'm in Costa Rica, I'm wearing this one, I'm talking to the rafting guide, I'm talking to someone else in the rafting company, and then I'm able to film all of that interview simultaneously. And you'll see that it's blue because it's fully charged and ready to rock and roll. So I think that that is another beautiful purchase. What do I think you really need to have in order to run an entire podcast? So little, my darlings. You don't need all of that stuff, actually. So what do I really feel like I need? I don't have to actually use a microphone. I want to. I think the quality of sound is better. And I chose that I really like this cover. It's super cheap, just a couple bucks. But I wanted to invest in a quality microphone because I see myself doing this for a long time. But you don't actually have to use a microphone if you don't want to, and I'll tell you why, because of the software I'm using. I think this is good if you're traveling, but if you're starting out, wait, you don't have to buy this yet either. So the microphone already, let me just Google it right now so I can look and see how much they're costing. I'm going to say Yeti Blue Mic because I bought it as a package deal. I didn't buy it as a standalone. So that Yeti Blue Mic is $94. I bought it in a package for $167 with all that other stuff. But I would say like that's a good gig. That's a good deal. And then I will also look up these mini packs. But I think that you don't really need to buy these right away unless traveling is like your number one. Maybe you have a Sprinter van and you're going for it full time, right? So when we look at these microphones, I'm trying to find the price. Where's the price, people? I might have to put it on there. I don't know why it's not showing it. Maybe it's showing me different versions. Okay, so they are about $125 for these. But again, I think when you're traveling, you want microphones because let's say a car drives by. I teach my students all this kind of stuff when we film commercials and whatnot. So let's say a car drives by. You want to make sure that your person is heard and that they're not drowned out. Let's say there's wind because you are filming next to a zip line that you're about to take off on. So you want to make sure that you can hear the person clearly. So I think that would make that a little bit more imperative. I think that if you're just starting out, getting a microphone and a ring light are the only two you really need, okay? Like honestly, I think that's all you really need. Okay, and also you could do no microphone if you want to. All right, what's the other thing that I purchased? First, I went online and I looked up all sorts of different recording studios. I found, like I was looking at, I could film off of Google Meet. I could use that. It's free. I could film off of Zoom for a certain amount of time. That is also free. I looked into Lancaster. I looked into Epic Sound. I'll list the ones that I looked at. And then what I figured out is I researched this company, Riverside. Riverside started to pop up because I said top recording equipment, because I realized, okay, I'm not going to just do this for free. I'm going to actually invest in myself. I'm going to pay for one. However, Riverside allows you free, this is also not sponsored, okay? Riverside allows you free service for a certain amount of time. So for the first couple of months, I did it for free. And then it only lets you save and hold on to a certain amount of recordings. So that's why I spent more money, because I knew I wanted to record more and more things. Because I record for this podcast and I record for teaching, I record all sorts of stuff. So when I looked at Riverside, one thing that I thought was hilarious and creepy and cool was that after I researched Riverside, then I started typing in other companies, and then I put in Zoom. And then in my search engine, Riverside popped up and said, "Why are you looking at Zoom? Come back to Riverside." And I was like, whoa, that's creepy that it already infiltrated into my computer and it's noticing that I'm shopping around. I'm checking out the other companies. And I was like, oh my gosh, like that's savvy marketing and it's creepy. Another thing about Riverside equipment that I find creepy and cool is that it has AI components. So one thing that I like about it is after I record, the AI can write all my show notes. And I love having a secretary all day long, baby, because the creativity is me recording the podcast and then it's just surmising what I said, right? So it gives me keynote words, it gives me a summary, it gives time-stamped points, and it gives like a bullet points of most important things that I talk about as well. So I think that's worth my time, because I don't want to, I am a professional writer and editor. If you need me editing services, contact me. But I don't want to spend my time writing my show notes. So I value that a robot can do that for me. Another thing is when I go into the editing bays to edit my podcast, back in the day when I was at Fort Lewis College in 1997, 98, we would, in our editing bays, have to use the tracks, the vocal tracks, to edit and cut, right? You can still do that on Riverside. But another thing you can do is it has the words that you spoke, and it has the whole transcription. I can go through and I can cut the transcription. I can take out different words, I can take out different phrases, and it will mute that and cut that. If I want to control more of the editing and make it, if I want to take out any errors or anything like that. Another thing that is interesting and kind of creepy with that part is that the AI, if I say like, "Good morning, Philadelphia," but I really meant, "Good morning, San Diego," it can actually record my voice I don't give it permission for this, but it can actually change it for me and make it look like I said the other word. I haven't let it do that yet. However, I understand that because I'm using Riverside, perhaps the robot already has my voice. I mean, it does, and it already has my face. So could it create its own video with me saying crazy ass things? Probably. But am I going to live in fear of that? No. So that's just interesting. I think like years ago, remember that like Tom Cruise video where he's walking around talking and it wasn't him at all? So yeah, just keeping aware of all of that component. Another cool factor with Riverside that I liked is it records me and the people I'm interviewing on separate tracks. So when I interviewed Max and Anthony, shout out for our car episode, Fast and Furious, it recorded at Max's house on his computer. It recorded at Anthony's house through his computer. And then it records me off of my computer. So it does infiltrate into their computers, but it records over there so that our sounds aren't cut and interrupted. So let's say that my Wi-Fi was streaming for a second and Anthony was talking. It doesn't affect his recording, which I think is fabuloso. And then also when I'm editing, there is an AI magic that you can use for editing and AI magic sound. So that's why I'm saying that you can use a microphone, but if you buy recording studio equipment, you don't necessarily have to because it has AI sound now and it can adjust your sound. So, I mean, I'm recording off of a Chromebook that I bought for $161 because the school that I currently work at can't afford to buy computers for us, and I'm not going to throw a lot of money toward a computer right now. So that's all I'm using, and the equipment is running off of just a cheap $161 computer. So you don't have to spend a lot of money to start out your company, which I think is beautiful because equity, right? Another thing is that I chose to put my podcast on YouTube. I could also drop it on Spotify. I can drop it everywhere, right? And that's cool. For me right now, I am busy. I'm a full-time teacher. I also do speaking, guest speaking. If you watched, my other podcast episode where I talked at the WYN conference for women in business, it doesn't have to just be women, but business and politics and diversity and justice and equity. So I do a lot of different things. So I chose that I'm just funneling all of my podcast information right now on YouTube. I'm not going to various channels. My YouTube is free. I don't have to pay for it. And the way that you upload onto YouTube, I can totally show you how to do that. Like you can hire me for consultation advice. I will link my website that shows that you can get consultation advice from me for making your own podcast, advice and brainstorming sessions for starting your own company, advice and brainstorming sessions for if you're a teacher and you want to know how to teach this to students, or if you want to use this equipment yourself, or if you want to figure out lesson plans that have something to do with podcasting or not. I also worked in publishing and I'm a published writer. So if you need any help with editing, let's say your show notes or any information for your company, I can do all of that as well, right? So you just contact me either through here, Breakthrough on YouTube, like subscribe and share, baby. Or you can contact me through my website, tesstimmons.com, which my former student, Travis Plum, made for me. Shout out to Travis, living in Colorado now in college. And yeah, so there are a slew of different things that I'm doing. So I'm just concentrating on YouTube. But if you go into YouTube and you can also YouTube how to create a YouTube channel, right? And how to drop your episodes. And then you can decide to film them ahead of time and set them so that they drop every so often. I drop a few a month on Monday mornings. I try to do that so it stays consistent. And then when you look at YouTube, this is also not sponsored, when you go in and you look at YouTube, you can see who viewed your episode. You can see how long they stayed on it. Maybe they only listened to the first 5 minutes and left, which is fine. They could do whatever they want. How many people are viewing it, where they stopped and rewound and watched it again, what were the most imperative parts of your podcast. So all of that is pretty interesting as well. So yeah, I just want to help you guys this holiday season. If you have decided to share your voice with the world, then I want to help you to be able to do that with podcast equipment. And I want you to realize that you can start with very little or you can go big. So be thinking about like, what do I need, right? I'm shooting this off of very little funding, which is beautiful because I can spend my money actually going out and learning and creating more content for you. That's right, people. All right, I hope you have a happy holiday season. If you start your own podcast, please go into the comments and share a link to it in this episode. I would love for your voices to be heard so that we go and start listening to you. If you buy this equipment for yourself, please go into the comments and let me know what you think of the equipment and what deals did you get, how much did you spend, and what did you buy? Because through searching, you might have bought something different than what I'm showing you, and that would be cool. Let's learn and grow together. If you gave the equipment to someone so they could start their own podcast, have that person contact me and put the link to their podcast in the comments so that we can grow and learn together. So, like always, people, pull up a seat, join the conversation. Thank you for coming and listening to today's podcast with me, your host, Tess Timmons, on Breakthrough. And like, subscribe, share this episode. And yeah, I hope you start your own podcast. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you're a little bit shy, put your thoughts in the comment. I want to talk to you. Let's hang out. So I'll see you later. Happy holidays. Happy shopping. Happy life.